Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
He needs care and treatment.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Daryl May of Trustee Properties on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Is this a great country or what?
Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour 2, Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Sharief, Ishaq from New Orleans coming up in 30 minutes. The Black and Gold have a starting quarterback. If you missed it at the end of the hour, we'll go ahead and re-break the news story. Spencer Rattler going to be the Saints starter in Week 1 against the Cardinals. Not a surprising decision to me. Let's restate the timeline here. Derek Carr decides to retire pre-draft. Saints go into the draft essentially with Rattler, Haener. Are they going to take a quarterback? Maybe at 9, maybe not. Maybe at the top of the second round, maybe not. Where are they in evaluating that position? We weren't sure. And then right there in the second round, you take Tyler Ishaq. And I think 15 years ago, you take a quarterback not in the first round, kind of the thought is, well, we'll see what you got in camp and be the backup and maybe get some time in October, November, maybe not. You'll see. But that generally comes with a veteran starting quarterback in place. And the Saints never signed one of those. So to me, as I looked at it, and I was looking at OTAs and minicamp, and I'm going, they're just going to go to training camp with Ishaq and Rattler. This is not a coaching staff that drafted Rattler. He didn't blow anybody away with what he did in his rookie season. And trust me, I'm well aware of the adverse circumstances that Spencer Rattler was working with, okay? Kamara had broken ribs and was missing time, and Olave and Shaheed were out, and the offensive line was a complete mash unit, and then the coach got fired, and yeah, that's a disaster. I don't expect Spencer Rattler to go out there and look at an MVP when everything around him's burning to the ground. But you get the point, it wasn't an awesome rookie year for him. And I just kind of looked at it and went, Ishaq's going to be the guy. They're going to force him in there in training camp. They're going to get him reps, and they're going to sink or swim with him right out of the gate. You don't know how Kellen Moore's going to handle a quarterback. He's never been a head coach before. But that was my feeling. And then you kind of watched how the reps were divvied up, and you realized that Rattler was getting a little more run with the first team and certainly a lot more run against the first team. And that suggested to me, okay, right now they're leaning towards the more experienced player. I stopped before I say older because we understand how old Ishaq is. But the more experienced player who's been in the league an extra year. And that's kind of how I felt. They started Rattler in the first preseason game, started Ishaq in the second preseason game. They gave Rattler an opportunity in the third preseason game to start and have the complement of players around him that were available from a starting perspective. And we talked about this on Monday. None of it was super exciting from Rattler or Ishaq. None of it was earth-shattering stuff in the preseason or even in camp. And I just felt like with issues on the offensive line, they would go with a guy that they're comparable athletes. Rattler's thrives a little bit more off schedule, under duress. He's just better at that. He's seen a little bit more. And I think that he gives you a better chance from that perspective. And then something that I've continued to kind of go back to, that, it's easier to go from Rattler to Ishaq than to go from Ishaq to Rattler. Because to quote-unquote bench a guy who is in his first year, who you kind of felt like if you named him the starter, you were handing the keys of the organization for however long that is, 12 years or 12 months. Taking those keys away pretty quickly feels rough. So maybe you give it to Rattler, who's kind of been fighting his whole career to find a spot, to beat out Haener, to beat out Taysom, to be the starter post-Carr. He's kind of been in this battle the whole time. He's been there longer. So I'm not surprised by this at all, and I think it's the right move. I think the Saints made the right move going with Rattler. Now, that's the past. Here's the present, and now what is the future? Okay? This has been my thought on this since Derek Carr retired. It is unlikely, to me, that the quarterback of the next great Saints team is currently on the roster. That's unlikely to me. It is not impossible. It is unlikely to me. That's simply based on math. That's simply based on the fact that most quarterbacks can't get the job done as a franchise quarterback. Most can't. They wash out. Early draft picks bust a lot. Mid-round draft picks rarely hit. And a good majority of the league annually is either in purgatory with the quarterback or in complete search for a quarterback. You're either where the Saints are, where you're completely in the wilderness looking, or you're in where the Cardinals are, where they're just, we got this guy. Is he great? No, but it is what it is. And so you find yourself right now searching, and that search can take a long time. And I feel like it's unlikely that either one of these guys are the starter, but it's possible. And I don't want to rush Tyler Shuck to the field until he's ready and until I feel like it's the best time for him. I think there's a better chance Tyler Shuck is the franchise quarterback on this team than Spencer Rattler. That may be unfair to Spencer based on the situation he was in last year that I just mentioned. But guess what? The one this year is not exponentially better. Hopefully the offensive line stays healthier. That would be one check. Hopefully Kellen Moore is just better with quarterbacks than what you had last year with Kubiak. Maybe that's a check. He's a year older. That's a check. And maybe all those things equate to better performance. But until I see something significant from Spencer Rattler, something significant, not 1 week, 3 weeks, I'm going to feel like just sitting in the background, Shuck's got the best chance because right now he's all upside. We've seen more of Rattler. So the upside there is greater with Shuck. And I think I'd be a little bit disappointed if Shuck didn't get an opportunity before Thanksgiving. That's kind of where I am with this. Now, that may mean that Rattler doesn't play well. It may mean they just want to get a look. Because even if Rattler's playing decent, if you're 2-9, get another look, right? So I feel like the main thing here is that you've gotten a pretty good evaluation on both of them, but maybe more importantly, Shuck, by the end of the season. Now, that doesn't have to come in September. It does not. It can come in October. It can definitely come in November and December. But I'd like to look at them both and use this year as one where you're trying to identify a quarterback. And if it goes off the rails and you're 2-15 and you draft second or first next year, well, we'll have a different discussion. But right now, my take on this is they've handled it very well in the preseason, given both guys ample opportunities. I think they've chosen the right guy for now. I want the season to play out, and I want to get both guys reps, and I want certainly Shuck to get some time as a starter this year. Unless Rattler just lights it on fire. It's the only way. If he's just awesome and you're winning a bunch of games and he's playing great, then yeah, leave Shuck on the sideline. But if it's middling or not good, get Shuck some time and then reevaluate things when this comes around at the end of January. I think today is a positive thing for the Saints. I'm curious. I wouldn't go as far as say excited. I'm curious to see how it works out. I'm hopeful that there's a time at some point in the next 10 weeks from now that Shuck gets an opportunity. We'll see. That's the news from Saints land today. Spencer Rattler, the starting quarterback for the Black and Gold, as they get ready for the opener in a week and a half against the Cardinals. All right, we'll talk Sharief about all that when we come back. You're looking for, not when we come back, at 2:30, we'll talk Sharief. If you're looking for Saints news, you can find it at LouisianaSports.net. Certainly can also find it at Hunt on Saints, wherever you find your podcasts. When we do come back, I do want to continue to talk quarterbacks. I want to talk about the one that LSU is playing on Saturday. What's he like? Where is he from? What are his strengths? What are his weaknesses? What are my concerns about Saturday? We'll talk about Cade Klubnik when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com is the website. Every car that's on the lot is online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. Give them a shot. You don't buy a car twice a week. Not like the grocery store. So when that time comes, just give Genesis a shot. That may not be this month. May not be this year. But keep them in mind. When you're driving around, notice the Genesis that you see. It's a phenomenal brand of vehicles. They've got everything from the sedan all the way up to that SUV. GV80 is my favorite. But go by and see it when that time comes and you're in the market for a new vehicle. The odds are you haven't driven one. It's a luxury brand at a reasonable price. That's the model at Genesis. So when you go by and see them, tell them we sent you in. Say, I'd just like to get behind the wheel. And I, again, suggest you go see a Airline at Piku. But if you don't have time, or that's a little bit out of your way, they can come to you. They can do valet test drives. They can come to your office, come to your home. If you decide, hey, this is what I want to go with, they'll bring the car to you. E-contract, delivery, right there. You never have to set foot on the lot. I always suggest you do. It's an amazing place. But just make sure you put them on your list the next time you're in the market for a vehicle. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Daryl May of Trustee Properties. Looking for land to hunt or build? Call Daryl May at Trustee Properties.
Coming up on Saturday night, 6:30 kickoff. Well, I say that. 6:30 broadcast time. They're not kicking off until 6:51 Central Time. So keep that in mind for Saturday if you're going somewhere, hosting a party. They're not going to kick off at 6:30. Kickoff is significantly beyond that. 6:51, 6:52 was the time that I got yesterday from LSU. So a little bit later than we will see on the schedules as the week moves forward. Under center, two of the best quarterbacks in college football in that game on Saturday. Garrett Nussmeier now wearing number 18 for the Tigers, and of course, Cade Klubnik for Clemson. And I wanted to kind of do a dive on Klubnik. Watched a lot of the highlights of his time at Clemson. Did some reading about him. I've as I mentioned, done a couple of radio hits in South Carolina, and just kind of getting a feel for what LSU's getting in for. Last year at this time, we were talking about Miller Moss and how he threw for a bunch of yards in the Holiday Bowl, but he was a first-time starter. They were moving on from Caleb Williams. And now you're dealing with the guy who could be a Heisman Trophy candidate this year. And Klubnik had massive, massive expectations put on him the second he set foot on campus at Clemson. You're talking about a guy that was a five-star quarterback by 24/7, five-star by Rivals. He was a number one quarterback in the nation by ESPN and Rivals. He was at Westlake High School in Austin. That should sound familiar to you. A lot of really good athletes have come out of Westlake. Drew Brees is a Westlake product. Nick Foles is a Westlake product, Super Bowl MVP. Sam Ehlinger, who was a solid quarterback for Texas, played at Westlake as well. Justin Tucker, the kicker from the Ravens, was a Westlake product as well. And Klubnik decided to leave Austin and go to Clemson. And when he got there as a true freshman, DJ Uiagalelei was the starting quarterback, but he wasn't playing great. And Klubnik is his five-star, great athlete, freshman. They got him significant playing time. He played in 10 games that year and threw 100 passes. And as a freshman at Clemson, he was the ACC championship game MVP, and he had great numbers in that game. 20 of 24 for 279 yards and a touchdown. He also ran for a score. He became the third freshman MVP of the ACC championship game ever. It was Jameis Winston, Dalvin Cook, both from Florida State, and then Klubnik. But he wasn't the starter that year. He took over as a starter in 2023. And this is something that I was listening to a podcast that Bryce Kuhn and Matthew Bruni did with a Clemson writer. And they were talking about how Klubnik was kind of thought of as bordering on a bust during his sophomore year, because you go to Clemson and they watch Deshaun Watson just take over and hit the ground running. And they watch Trevor Lawrence come in and win a national championship, blow Alabama out as a freshman. And so that's now kind of the expectation that, hey, freshmen can come in here and be stars. Like, you're a five-star, Two of the services say you're the number one quarterback in the country. Like, you better show up and be awesome. And he wasn't awesome. He threw for 2,800 yards, 19 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. But more importantly, the start was bad. They started 4-4 overall and 2-4 in SEC play in Klubnik's first year as the starter. Like, it was just a mediocre year. And then you go out there after that year where Clemson starts the season 4-4. They're a 4-loss team. They're not competing at the top of the ACC. And then he comes out in the next season and they play Georgia in the Georgia Dome. He goes 18 of 29 in that game for 142 yards, no touchdowns, throws a pick, loses 17 yards on the ground. And they're like, okay, this guy just doesn't have it. Like, this is DJU all over again. We thought Uyunglele, a 5-star, was going to come in, be the next Deshaun Watson, Trevor Lawrence, DJU. Nope. Well, Klubnik's now the next DJU. That's what they thought of Cade Klubnik last year after week 1. But after that game, he completed 64% of his throws. He threw for 291 yards per game. He threw 36 touchdowns against 5 picks. Something clicked in September last year. And when you watch the highlights, from a passing style, I do liken Klubnik and Nussmeier. There's a lot of stuff around the line of scrimmage, inside 10, 12 yards. Efficient, getting the ball to playmakers, those guys making big plays, moving the chains, not a lot of turnovers, not a lot of bad mistakes. Like, it's to me a similar type of passing game, but that's where the similarity stops because Klubnik has wheels. He can really run. And to me, when I watch him, the comp that I came up with from an SEC perspective, and it's not perfect, but it's you'll get where I'm coming from. I feel like he plays a little bit like Jackson Dart. They're not 6'5", they're closer to 6'2". They don't have Mettenberger, Jamarcus Russell arm, but they got enough, and they can run when they need to. You turn on the South Carolina tape of Klubnik, and he runs for 2 touchdowns from outside the 15-yard line. That's a good athlete against a really good defensive front. He is a good athlete. And he emphasized the running portion of his game late last season. And I think that was part of unlocking the best Cade Klubnik. Because in the first 7 games, he ran the ball 41 times. 41 times in 7 games. That's a little bit over 6 a game. In the last 6 games, he ran it 63 times. That's almost 11 times per game. So he doubled how often he took off and ran. And that's just an extra feature here. Now, he needed to do that because Phil Maffa, their running back, was basically playing with one arm. Like, he was hurt. So they didn't have a lot of running game outside of Klubnik. And so he did it on his own. And I don't know what Clemson's running game is going to look like this year. Adam Randall's going to be their starter at running back. And he's a converted wide receiver who's really big and physical at 235 pounds, but he's never played the position. Klubnik's going to be a big part of the running game. And y'all remember what LSU did against running quarterbacks last year. It was awful. Lenora Sellers, track meet. Marcel Reed, track meet. Jalen Milroe, track meet. Jackson Arnold got loose a little bit for Oklahoma. Oklahoma couldn't do anything on offense ever. And he got going a little bit on the ground. Scored a touchdown, got down inside the 5-yard line. Like, it wasn't great for Oklahoma, but they did some things on the ground. LSU's got to clean that up. And here's how I think that happens. I think the safeties help. I think the safeties were awful against South Carolina and A&M last year. And they've got to be better against this guy. He's going to complete his passes. You got a guy that threw for 36 touchdowns against 6 interceptions last year total. Like, that's a guy that's going to get his through the air a little bit. Put up a fight against that and then try to take away the ground game. You can't take it away completely. He's going to scramble for 8 yards on a 3rd and 4. Like, he just is. That's going to happen. But don't let him run for 2 touchdowns each from 20 yards out like South Carolina did. Bottom line is, as I started this segment, like, you're facing a great quarterback on Saturday. Miller Moss was a talented guy. We didn't know what he could be. Turns out he ended up transferring from USC. But this is a guy in the college ilk of Jordan Travis, who eviscerated you for 2 years. This is a guy who can throw for 300, can also run for 95 and 2 scores. It's a stern test. And it's a little bit of bad luck. In the way that you would like to catch Clemson with DJ Uiagalelei, you'd like to catch Florida State with DJ Uiagalelei. Instead, you call Florida State the last 2 years of Jordan Travis, you're catching Clemson right here with a really good quarterback. It took him time to progress, but he's kind of found it now. So for LSU, you got to turn up that pass rush with 4 guys. I'm comfortable with LSU in that matchup. I don't know if I would say overly confident because Clemson's got a really veteran offensive line, but LSU will get some pressure. That front 4 will get pressure. Harold Perkins will get pressure. Got to get home. Not going to force as many mistakes from Klubnik. Got to get home. And then if he does tuck it and go, you need your linebackers, the Weeks brothers, Perkins, and certainly the safeties with Halsey and Cooley to come down and make some plays around the line of scrimmage, not to let him get loose. He's a good story. Number 1 quarterback. Struggled at the beginning relative to his predecessors outside of DJU, but he's turned it on now, man. And they are confident in Cade Klubnik there at Clemson. And I think most people in the ACC believe Klubnik will have a chair in New York in December. Now, unless you can make that a little bit more difficult if you win that game. But he's that good. And the highlights show that. The statistics show that. The high school rankings show that. And now the mock drafts show that. Good news for LSU. Independent of all that conversation on the defense side of the ball, you've got a quarterback who people think may have a share in New York. You've got a quarterback who was highly thought of in high school. You've got a quarterback who is very high on draft boards. Really good quarterback showdown on Saturday night. Cade Klubnik and Garrett Nussmeier. I'm excited to watch it a little bit, but more just petrified and nervous because it's a huge game for LSU. I think most of you understand where I'm coming from that perspective. It's a good one that Clemson's got behind center. All right, our Tuesday show is brought to you by Daryl May of Trusty Properties, a licensed realtor in Louisiana and Mississippi. Looking for that hunting property? Hunting season just around the corner. It's really hot now, but it won't be forever. Wouldn't you want to have your own land? Whether that's in the Felicianas, Point Capee, whether that's up in Mississippi, Woodville, Natchez, anywhere in Mississippi. Daryl's got access to those listings, and he can help you purchase that dream property. Maybe it's for a second home. Maybe it's for a home outside the city. Maybe it's just for hunting. Maybe it's for agriculture. Whatever you want to do with it, it's your land. Daryl's just here to help you find it. Daryl is born and raised in Baton Rouge. He went to Catholic High, spent his life here, decided to move to St. Francisville, wanted some more space. If you find yourself in that frame of mind, Daryl is happy to help you out with that. Call him on his cell. I give you Daryl's cell every single Tuesday. 225-268-6915. 225-268-6915. Say, Daryl, hey, I'm looking for land. He's got you covered. It's Daryl May with Trusty Properties. We'll take a time out. When we come back, Sharief Ishaq. The Saints have a quarterback. We're talking about it next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com is the website. Jonathan Carver and his team are just awesome folks to work with. They're experts when it comes to the coverage aspect of insurance. There's a fairly low barrier to entry to insurance. I got in. And a lot of folks will peddle their policies trying to cut costs. And they'll try to save you 8% here. They'll try to save you 12% here. A lot of times that may come with some coverage cuts as well. If you feel like you may have got the most cost-effective policy that may not protect your business the way it needs to be protected, that's where the Highland Insurance Group comes in. Trust me, they will consider premium. They've got dozens of carriers they're contracted with. They're an independent broker. They understand that the premium is a big, big deal. But they also understand that you need to be covered. The worst thing you can do in insurance is buy a policy for a good amount of money and then have it not respond the way you expect it to when you have a claim. Car accident, cyber attack, hurricane, lawsuit. You want to be covered. The Highland Insurance Group will make sure that you are covered. Reach out, HighlandIG.com. They're based here in Baton Rouge. They can help you out statewide. If you're a business, you're looking for another solution for your insurance program, the Highland Insurance Group can absolutely help you with that. It's the Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Daryl May of Trustee Properties. Looking for land to hunt or build? Call Daryl May at Trustee Properties.
I want to give a big shout out to longtime friend of mine, Dixon McMakin, Catholic High Bear, voice of the Catholic High Bears. Was reported earlier today. We confirmed over at LouisianaSports.net that Dixon will be the new voice of Tiger Stadium. He'll be the PA announcer in Tiger Stadium for the upcoming football season. Big news for Dixon, for LSU football. I'm excited to get in Tiger Stadium and hear a good friend of mine over the PA in Tiger Stadium. Dan Bornay had an unbelievable 38-year run there. We expect LSU at any point today to announce that Dixon is the new voice of Tiger Stadium. Big deal for a good friend of mine. Let's talk some Saints now. Sharief, Ishaq, WDSU down in New Orleans. Ridiculous. About 30 hours down there with the Saints. A lot of things that have happened. So we'll try to cover a good bit of it. Sharief, you keeping up?
I'm trying to at my best. I mean, whenever we were done with the coordinators, and I was like, this is going to be an easy day. Kellen Moore announced it tomorrow, and then 20 minutes later, Kellen Moore's going to talk at 1:45, and I know it's not about the roster cuts, it's about the quarterback.
And we got an announcement. Spencer Rattler is the quarterback. Is that what you expected, and what do you think of the move?
I know I've gone back and forth with you and since training camp started, even since OTA started, what they should do. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. I understand where Kellen's coming from. A guy who, played last year. He had his starts, his 6 starts last year. And then, he was progressing throughout a training camp this year, his consistency. And it felt like they saw a lot more after that Jaguars game. And I feel like that's kind of where he became the quarterback, even though I felt maybe it was before that. So, yeah, you put somebody out there in these first 4 games, at least you have somebody with experience and a somewhat of a healthy team to start the season. And it gives them a chance to build from there. And I did ask him about the debate of, if he does have a bad game, are you going to go this whole back and forth thing? Or you just rally behind him like you did say last week, whoever the starter is? And he said, Doug, there's no debate. We're not going to do this all year. Spencer's the quarterback. So we shall see what happens if things go sideways, if they actually make a change. Do you think they'll make a change? I just don't know, man. I mean, if things go sideways and let's just say it's 3-8, I'm just predicting down the road. If they go 3-8 and they're struggling on offense, quarterback, you got to tell yourself, why not? Things aren't working out. I drafted him, paid him a lot of money. Let's give him a shot. So my gut tells me yes. I do think that at some point you'll see Tyler Shuck if things do indeed go sideways, if the offense is not great. I would be shocked if Tyler Shuck doesn't start a game. Shocked. That's shocked to shock. I would be shocked if Shuck doesn't start a game. I'd be shocked and shucked if he doesn't start the game too. I mean, I truly would be surprised if he doesn't get to play. But he did. I think Tyler knows that his development has to improve, in these next few weeks, couple months at least. You could tell at times he showed flashes. But there are times where the game looks like it still was a little too fast for him. Okay, here's a big picture question. What are the chances Spencer Rattler is still the Saints starting quarterback 5 years from now? No, I don't think so. You could probably ask me if both of them will be the starting quarterback 5 years from now. I would take the bet I'd take is no. Right. I really think they have another quarterback by then, because if it doesn't go well this year or maybe next year, maybe you're talking about a Garrett or an Arch as your quarterback in a couple years. So I would take the no on that. If you had to ask me today, just by watching what I've seen so far, I would say no. You're going to be drafting a different quarterback or signing a different quarterback. So it sounds like you don't think that it's going to go great with Rattler to start, and that they may go to Shuck, and it's just going to kind of be bumpy this year. I want to give him the benefit of the doubt. I want to see what it looks like. I know everyone's like, well, everyone says he has to have this. Everything has to be perfect for him to play. Well, I want to give him a chance. I do want to give him a chance. I want to see what it's like when he actually has his offensive line playing, when he does have Chris and Rashid and some of the other weapons out there on the field. I want to at least give him a solid chance before I make that evaluation. But if you had to ask me today, I just don't know. I don't think it's going to be great. I really don't know how great it's going to be with both of these guys this year. to process. It's a rebuild. I just don't know if this team is set up for those quarterbacks to actually be successful right now.
All right, well, let's look at some of the roster moves that the Saints have made. They made a trade with the Cowboys to bring in a depth piece on the offensive line, former fifth-rounder Nassim Richards. Give up a draft pick in 2028. How'd you feel about it?
I mean, they needed some depth on the offensive line. I think that was one of the areas where we said the offensive line is, they're going to need some pieces. I mean, you saw some injury happen in that finale against the Broncos. I mean, they're just taking a hit after hit after hit. They need depth there. They need depth at tackle. They need depth at guard. So that's not a surprise. I like it. As long as you can, build some depth there, you just can't go into the season without more pieces on that offensive line. I mean, I'd lie to you if I knew a lot about him. I don't know much. I just know he's probably going to get some meaningful reps, knowing how this offensive line continues to get beat up.
Yeah, I mean, he can play guard and tackle. He's a fifth-round pick. He started at left tackle for North Carolina for 3 years. So it's just they just don't have enough guys. That's to your point. I talked about it in the first hour. Too many injuries that you've had so far. So you got to add some depth. And to get assets, you've got to give up assets. So they give away a late-round pick 3 years from now. I'm not too concerned about that. As far as guys from the roster that are moving on, Isaiah Foskey, gone. Jake Haener, gone. Clyde Edwards-Helaire cut, with obviously the opportunity to bring him back. What'd you make of those three moves?
As expected on the first two moves, I thought maybe the third move, I thought he would have had a chance of sticking on the 53-man roster, but at least bringing him back is a good conversation to have. But Jake and Isaiah, I think it was the writing was on the wall, especially for Isaiah Foskey. I mean, just if you watch some of the game tape in these preseason games, it's getting sucked in a lot. He was getting beat a lot on the edge. It just wasn't there, Hunt. We just say that was a failed pick, and we can all agree to that was a failed second-round pick. So move on from that. Nick, I wouldn't be surprised if he got an invite to be on the practice squad as well. So at least you have, the idea of having Clyde Edwards-Helaire on the practice squad, and if something happens, you have him there. That's if somebody else doesn't snag him up and sign him. So the decisions are right. I think the only one is Clyde, that I thought maybe he's sneaking on that 53-man roster.
Anybody else that was retained or that was let go that surprised you a little bit?
No, I think for the most part, I kind of like the moves, and Torrey Simpkins being there. I like that. I mean, his training camp improved by the week. I mean, I think that his practices, and we talked about the offensive line and players going down along the whole line. I think he certainly took advantage of that opportunity, and he shined. He shined. He did well for the most part in these practices, and even the games. He stepping in there right when Will Clapp got hurt, stepping in and doing a good job there. Having Bayless Jones get a Rajon right, that's good. I mean, I think those guys, you're talking about guys who've done a solid job in not only the practices, even in the preseason games, and improving their stock and keeping them on the team. So I do like the right move, because at least he's played in Carolina. He was, here last year. So that's something that's like, you like it. You like those type of moves to be on this squad. I mean, I love that Bayless' speed, man. He's got some speed, and maybe you put him on the kickoff returns or even at running back. Wherever we want to line them up at, and just to have speed, because speed kills. You need to have more speed, and I think that's huge in Kellen's offense.
Let's talk about Kendre Miller. I realize he wasn't a roster decision after what he did in camp. He's obviously going to be on the team and very likely the second team back. But what are your thoughts on his immediate future?
I really thought that he's gotten stronger. He stayed healthy. Remember last year at the time, we were talking about 5 minutes into the first training camp practice in Irvine, He got hurt. And he was gone with a hamstring for a long time. He just didn't stay healthy, and he's been healthy. He's been happy. He looks good, and he's running really hard, even with a busted up offensive line in some of these preseason games. He's turned some negatives into slight positives, but that's a positive for him in order to get on the field. So the promise is there. The promise is 100% there. I know we've said that so many times now, but it feels like it's probably coming to fruition now that he's healthy and he's able to get on the field and practice and play.
Sharief Ishaq, our guest, WDSU down in New Orleans, talking all things Saints. What do the next few days look like for New Orleans? Do you expect any more movement on the roster, or you think they're kind of set up to start working on the Cardinals?
Hunt, the one thing I've learned is that there's no such thing as the first 53-man roster. I just call it the initial roster, and it's not the final roster. I truly think this team needs to add some depth along the offensive line. I still think they need to get some more pieces along the offensive line. I wouldn't mind seeing them get another tight end, maybe another receiver. They could desperately use help for the Spencer Rattler being the quarterback. They need to add some more weapons. I mean, if they can do it in either position. I know they got Vele, and they still have some of the tight ends they have, but I still think it wouldn't hurt them to add either a tight end or another receiver. But that's just me. I mean, and it doesn't hurt to have another weapon.
No, we'll see. If it's never over. There's always another move that can be made, and ultimately there's always another move that will be made. Depends on the timing of that. He is Sharief Ishaq from WDSU. Before I get you out of here, LSU Clemson pick?
Please, for the love of God, do not lose this game. I'm tired of hearing about the regular season opener losing streak. I don't want to lose to the fake Death Valley. I just want to go in there and get a dub, get the season started on the right foot, and head towards the playoffs. You
didn't give me a pick.
I'm going to go, let's go 31-24 LSU.
We like that. That would be a Happy Hunt post-game show, Happy Hunt column on LouisianaSports.net, Happy Hunt doing a show on Labor Day, which has been a mad hunt on Labor Day for 5 years in a row. So let's try to fix that.
Please do.
We'll talk about the Saints and Cardinals next week. Thanks, man.
You got it, bud.
Sharief Ishaq, WDSU down in New Orleans. We got one segment to go. We'll play some Take It or Leave It. Get on down the road. Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. Saw my guy Brian Haldane in the hall today, Talk 107.3. Said, look, I got to call David. I got to redo 2 bathrooms. And they can do that. They can remodel bathrooms in their entirety. That means the vanity. That means the shower. That means the tub. If there's a closet in there, they can handle that. You make one phone call to one contractor. It's One Bath and Closets. David and his team handle everything else. Don't just deal with the guy down the street who you can pay some cash to that's going to show up and probably knows what he's doing because he's been around the neighborhood a while. No, get a company that's been doing this for 3 decades. Get someone that's licensed, bonded, insured, that's going to do it right the first time and leave the competition behind. If you want pictures of their fantastic work, go to the website, onebathandclosets.com. You'll see the customized closets they do. You'll see the amazing vanity work that they've done. If you live in a house that's 20, 25 years old that's never had any work done in the bathroom, it might be time to get that done. Call David Duvall at One Bath and Closets or check him out online, onebathandclosets.com, onebathandclosets.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Daryl May of Trustee Properties. Looking for land to hunt or build? Call Daryl May at Trustee Properties.
Just thinking about this earlier today. We have not talked to Garrett Nussmeier since fall camp begun. I mean, we have done interviews probably 7 or 8 times, and not gotten the quarterback yet. I would have to think that changes tonight.
Yeah, I would think so.
They brought him out for Ole Miss last year for sure. I think after A&M, they actually brought him out. So it's not an every week thing. When I was covering the team 11, 12, 13, they always brought the quarterback. Like every week, Mettenberger had to come talk. Every week, Jarrett Lee and Jordan Jefferson talked. Has not happened this time around. We'll see. We get a little Garrett Nussmeier. He's a really good quarterback. Always says the right things. Rarely says something interesting at all.
Coach's son, Hunt. He was coached up since child.
He's got that. We were trying. I actually wasn't me. It was the TV guys last year. Were trying to get him on. Like, hey, you feel like you gotta, play well against Jackson Dart and Ole Miss? It's not Jackson Dart against Garrett Nussmeier. It's LSU against Ole Miss. Like, just not. But the only time he really said something that got people going was when he was at the Manning Passing Academy. And he said that A&M's crowd was not nearly as loud as Tiger
And that
State.
wasn't like an official, interview with the team or anything. That was kind of just like a side.
Get the guard down in what's that, June or is it July? I think it's July.
July.
Yeah, you get the guard down. You're not on your P's and Q's. Not like he was at Media Day, and then like he might be tonight if we get him. But we're gonna have player interviews tonight. Get one chance to chat with the guys before they head to Clemson. Curious to see what they have to say. And we'll have some stuff written up on LouisianaSports.net tomorrow morning. This is going to be one of the biggest days in LouisianaSports.net click history with all the big time news with the Saints. They have some cuts. They had some trades. Named a starting quarterback. I've got a piece up there right now talking about LSU and why they've lost 2 consecutive openers. I know it's been 5, but the 2 most recent I felt were the ones that had the biggest parallels to this upcoming game. So I talked about it. Also talked about that at the top of the show. So if you want to go check that out, you can for free, as always, over at LouisianaSports.net. Let's close it out with some Take It or Leave It.
Take it or leave it.
Take it it or leave it.
Presented to you by Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer, crafted by America's oldest brewery. Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
Just take it.
Flight by Yingling, next generation of light beer. It's almost time to crack open a cold one and watch the Tigers. If you're planning on doing that, you need to go by and pick up some cold pops for the whole crew that's coming over. Highly suggest giving Flight by Yingling a try. Wherever you buy your alcohol to bring away, Flight by Yingling is going to be there. From America's oldest brewery, there in Pottsville, PA. 95 calories, all the flavor you're looking for delicious beer. I'll be having some Flight by Yinglings this weekend, probably after the game, considering I got the post-game show. But looking forward to that. You should as well. Flight by Yingling, next generation of light beer.
All righty, first one, Hunt. It is official. Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift.
Wow,
they
first
have
one, huh?
announced their engagement. Hunt. Travis got down on one knee. Looks like a nice little garden area. The ring is quite large. Not sure about the design of it, but it is, of course, expected to be very large. Hunt is folding his papers right now. He doesn't look very enthused about this. I'm sure he's really excited to talk to his wife about this. So
I got a text. It was in all caps.
Yeah, talking to the wife about this later today. Take it or leave it.
Leave it. She's texting me out of control. She's a nurse practitioner. There are children in this market who have ear, nose, and throat issues that need to be taken care of, and she can't do it because she's freaking out about someone she's never met and doesn't know getting married.
That's true.
Maybe getting married.
That's true. Actually, they're just engaged.
Where did you propose?
Actually, in Grand Isle.
Grand Isle, very nice. I was in the kitchen at the old house, which was being repainted, so there were drop cloths and buckets of paint everywhere.
Oh, nice.
She sent me the picture.
Did you have a photo? Did you get a photo of it?
It was just us two. So
okay,
no, I don't think
that would have been pretty funny if you'd got a nice little photo.
She sent me the picture of those two getting engaged. Said I don't see a paint bucket anywhere.
Yeah,
so that's not very romantic.
There's nothing hanging up on the walls to prevent paint from getting anywhere.
Drop cloths everywhere, ladders all over the place.
That's a real romantic thing right there, Hunt. That was a nice job.
It was not planned, but we got the kitchen painted and they didn't finish in time, and they were coming back the next day. I was like, well, so I called my mom. I was like, do I need to get a hotel room and move this operation? She was like, probably not. So we did. Yeah. So try that, Trav. Deal with some adversity. Just have somebody paint your house.
Exactly. It's too perfect, man.
I'm not stunned because it's all these girls care about is Taylor Swift, but caring about the love interest of someone you don't even know blows my brain. Who cares?
Well, Hunt, you're a man, so it's hard to understand, you know. All right. All right.
Last said she was crying.
Last one.
Very reasonable.
That's reasonable. Yeah. Last one here. The San Francisco Giants are going to host the New York Yankees to start the season next year. As long as the lockout will be after next year, or will it be? Is the lockout going to be
after next year?
Okay. So we will have this game.
Yes.
It will be on March 25th, the earliest opening day we've ever had, besides the international games,
Japan games that we lose.
Yeah, exactly. But starting the season March 25th. Take it or leave it.
Take it. I'll take it. Started early. I'm ready to go by that time to watch the baseball.
That's true. It really is.
I'm all in. I looked at the Cubs schedule. When I look at now with Jay Johnson rolling, I feel like I got to work all the way through June for sure. So I can't book a Chicago trip then. And then you've got July where there's media days in the middle of it. And then August is camp. I'm pigeonholed into 2 weeks.
Tough.
I could potentially go watch the Cubs.
Very tough.
I don't think I'm going to go next year. It doesn't look like it's going to happen. I think Alyssa and I are doing a big 5-year anniversary trip. So that's not going to be
5-year anniversary trip to Chicago, huh?
No, I would much rather go to Chicago than Europe, but it sounds like it's probably going to be Europe. Chicago is much better than Europe. I would rather go there. But it is what it is. So,
Real quick, one more, actually. I saw this yesterday. Cal Raleigh hit his 50th homer, joining Mickey Mantle as the most home runs by a catcher.
Switch hit.
Yeah, by switch hitter, sorry. Cal Raleigh MVP consideration. Take it or leave it.
Take it. I mean, he's not going to win.
I'll take it.
But, well.
He's not.
No.
It'll be Aaron Judge.
It'll be Judge.
Yeah.
Skeens is going to win the Cy Young. Zach Wheeler's out for the year, so that's going to do it for him. But yeah, it's awesome stuff for the big dumper. He's very good at hitting baseballs far, and he could hit 60. He's got to hit 10 in September.
Yeah,
maybe less than 10 if he hits another one this weekend or this week. That's heavy stuff.
Did you see our guy Wilson Contreras though? Not a good scene for him. He got
he
got ejected from the game, and then Yeah, well, no, not too surprised. He got ejected and then apparently hit one of his coaches with a bat.
Good, Wilson.
Mistakenly. He threw the bat and hit one of the coaches. But that's
Wilson
a tough
lost
his
way
Wilson.
when he shed the Cubs colors.
He should have never left. If he never left Chicago, these problems wouldn't be happening for him.
That's exactly right. All right, that's it. If you missed any of our show, talk Saints news, Hunt on Saints, talk at LSU. Why they keep losing openers. I talked about it at the top of the show. You can find it at Hunt on LSU. Tomorrow, J.D. Piquel, SEC Power Rankings, and we'll go up to Clemson and preview the Tigers. Matt's going to drive you home on AFR. Have a great Tuesday. We're back tomorrow, same time, same place for the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.